Tonight, we're following breaking news out of the CDC where top officials are resigning en masse after sudden changes to COVID vaccine policies were announced earlier today. This afternoon, the FDA approved the COVID vaccine for the fall, but restricted who is eligible to receive it. In a reversal of longstanding policy, the FDA now says that the vaccine that has saved millions of lives in this country and around the world is only recommended for adults 65 and older, plus kids and adults with underlying health conditions. Now, this is the narrowest group of people granted access since the vaccines first became available. Remember that back in the early 2021, late 2020 period. Hours after that decision was announced, the Washington Post reported that Susan Menarez, the director of the Centers for Disease Control, was ousted after just weeks on the job. She'd been Senate confirmed, although to be absolutely clear, her lawyers say she has not yet resigned, nor has been officially fired. Quoting from the Post, Menarez was ousted after she faced pressure to change vaccine policy. Several senior CDC officials announced their resignation shortly thereafter, plunging the public health agency into turmoil. Post says Menarez declined to sign off on changes to COVID vaccine policy without first consulting with her advisors. The Trump administration, in turn, accused her of disloyalty. In her resignation letter, one of Menarez's deputies wrote, quote, "For the good of the nation and the world, the science at CDC should never be censored or subject to political pauses or interpretations. Vaccines save lives. This is an indisputable, well-established scientific fact." The director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases also resigned tonight, writing, quote, "I am not able to serve in this role any longer because of the ongoing weaponizing of public health. CDC staff continue to shine despite this dark cloud over the agency and our profession." Javier Becerra served as the Secretary of HHS under President Biden, the position that RFK Jr. now holds. Brandy Zadrassi is an MSNBC reporter, senior reporter, and they join me now. Brandy, you have been covering the anti-vax movement and RFK for, I think, over a decade at this point. Today, the announcement felt like the culmination of what had been a decade of work and activism, this first step to retrench and limit who can get the COVID vaccine, and then to get this news. I mean, what do you make of what we have learned just in the past few hours?
Yeah, it seems like a dream realized for Secretary Kennedy. For a decade, he has been saying that he wants to dismantle CDC. Specifically, he has called CDC scientists Nazis. He has said that they abuse children like the Catholic Church priests abuse children. He has called them evil. Every name in the book, he has villainized these people. And after the shooting in August at CDC headquarters, he, said, my heart's with you, but couched a lot of his language. Now, alternately, the people who showed up at that meeting, at this all-hands meeting, was Susan Menarez and 3 of the people that also quit today, the center directors that quit today. So these are the people that were really holding the CDC together. These are the people that all of the scientists said, as long as these folks are still there, I can work. And I've been on the phone with a dozen people at the CDC right now, and they've told me things like, who is going to want to work at the CDC now? They said they don't trust the information that's going to come out of them, and they don't feel like there's any bulwark left. Someone said to me, there's no one left. And this feels like a very, very important moment where Kennedy has seemingly gotten rid of any limits on his power and his anti-vaccine obsession.
The Washington Post, Mr. Becerra, I want to read for you their reporting that Kennedy urged Menarez to resign for not supporting the Trump's agenda. She declined to immediately resign. She enlisted Senator Bill Cassidy, chairman of the Health Committee, who cast a pivotal vote for Kennedy's confirmation for help. Cassidy privately pushed back on Kennedy's demands. And now we have the HHS announcing that she's no longer director of CDC. Thank her for a dedicated service. And then a statement from her attorney saying she refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts she chose, protecting the public over serving a political agenda. She's been targeted as a person of integrity and devoted to science. She will not resign. Have you ever seen anything like this at this agency?
I don't think any of us ever seen something like this at this agency. But remember that this is not an agency that deals with widgets. This is an agency that deals with health and life. And when the CDC doesn't get it right, a lot of people die. And when you lose your brain talent, a lot of people are going to die. I don't know how else to put it. I know the 3 people who have now resigned. They were all essential during the COVID fight. Dr. Daskalakis was the point person on Mpox, monkeypox. Deb Hurry would constantly be providing us with great guidance on where we needed to go on so many different issues involving disease. You just don't get rid of people like that and say you're going to replace them. It's, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense, and America's going to feel the pain.
I mean, it does seem to me, Brandy, like that, again, based on what we can tell from the public reporting and from the statements put out by these people, talking about weaponization of health, that basically there was a decision made at the highest political level to restrict the COVID vaccine because that was something that had been promised, because that is an ideological axe that Kennedy's been grinding. It's part of Trump's coalition. And that the scientists said there's no scientific reason to do that. And that's what brought us to where we are now.
It certainly seems that way. I think what I've been told is that we'll hear more from these folks who have resigned in the coming days. So it'll be interesting to hear what exactly pushed them out, specifically beyond their general complaints that they stated very clearly that he is a threat to public health, that he doesn't listen to the science. We just really have to wait and see. But I will say that there's something, I think there is a glimmer of hope in here, if I can be so bold to offer some. And it's that these 3 and maybe more resignations that came in the letters that came with it, this is a coordinated effort from some very, very intelligent, dedicated to public health folks. And so they have done this seemingly together and coordinated with each other. And I don't think we've seen the last of them. The people that I talked to that worked for them are certainly hoping that's the case. That's the hope that they're sort of clinging to at this moment.
Let me, Mr. Becerra, let me read you an excerpt from one of those letters. Again, this coordinated letters. And then I want to ask you for some advice to people that might be watching. I am unable to serve in an environment that treats CDC as a tool to generate policies. This is the doctor you just talked about, Dimitri Daskalakis. Serve in an environment that treats CDC as a tool to generate policies and materials that do not reflect scientific reality and are designed to hurt rather than improve the public's health. The recent change in the adult and children's immunization schedule threatens the lives of the youngest Americans and pregnant people. To the people that might be watching this, that work at CDC, and I think we probably have some, what advice would you give them about hanging in there and holding their ground amidst this?
So first, I tell the American people, be afraid when you see a professional, a scientist, say those words publicly, because these are people who are accustomed to keeping their eye on the prize and not trying to make news. Yeah. So that's one thing. Secondly, to each and every one of them, thank you for your courage. Thank you for your service. And pray to the Lord that we would figure out how to replace you, because something will come around the corner, whether it's COVID, whether it's avian flu, and we need the experts. You never take your child to a politician when your child is ill. You don't take even your car to a politician if you need to get it repaired. We right now are losing our best scientists, and this is only because of politics. And you're not going to take your biggest healthcare issues to a politician to get them resolved. We're in trouble. This is deep doo-doo, and it's all a man-made disaster. Get ready. This is about saving lives.
Former Secretary of Health and Human Services Javier Becerra and Brandy Zadrozny of MSNBC. Thank you both.